Okay, today we are moving on to solving algebraic equations. Remember, just a recap from yesterday, the heart of algebra is inverse operations, which undoes a current operation. Balance, what you do to one side, you have to do to the other. And the word solve. Solve means get the letter alone. Okay? We're going to do, yesterday we did one step. You have to do one thing to get the variable by itself. Today, we're going to do two-steppers. Two-step equations, you have to do two things to get the variable by itself. Okay? One step, you do one thing. Two-step, you do two things. Your learning target today, you can solve, get the variable alone, two-step algebraic equations. Two steps. The first thing you want to do, move what is not connected to the variable. Move what is not connected to the variable. That's the first thing you want to do. And lastly, you will move what is connected to the variable. So I say this in a very unprofessional manner. This isn't math vocab here. To me, I just used normal, how my eyes see it. I visualize an algebraic expression like this, and I can visualize it by what's not sticking to it and what is sticking to it. Notice what's not connected to the variable here, this is aligned weird, is this -5. That -5 is the same as plusing a negative. That is not connected. Notice it's got some space from the variable. And the 4 is sticking to it, like glue. Okay, it's like clinging. Clingy clingers in it. Really annoying. So the 4x, or the 4, is really hard to get rid of. Just think if someone's clinging to you, you just can't get rid of them. It's the last thing you do. You have to move the things that aren't sticking to you first. Doing some examples. 3x plus 2 is equal to 17. What's not sticking to the variable? 2. The 2. It's plus 2. What's the inverse of plus? I'm going to minus 2. If I minus 2 from the left side, I need to minus it from the right side. This cancels out, and I get 3x is equal to 15. 3x means 3 times x. What's the inverse of times? Now I will divide both sides by 3. X is 5. I solved. I solved because the variable is by its lonesome. Nope. It would not be negative. Okay, -x over 3 minus 3 equals -10. What is not sticking to the variable? 3. This -3. So this is minus. What's the inverse of minus? Plus. I'm going to plus 3 to both sides. Now I have -x over 3 is equal to -10 plus 3. 10 minus 3 is 7. The negative, there's more negatives, so I'll keep it negative. -7. Now some of you are going to use the reciprocal here. I don't have to. This is the -x over 3 is just saying -x divided by 3. What's the inverse of divide? Times. So I'm going to times both sides. I'm actually going to get rid of that negative right now too. I'm going to times both sides by a -3. I can put that negative on the bottom if I want. The negative can go anywhere. Times this side by -3. I get rid of the negative. I get rid of the 3. And I get x is equal, -7 times a -3 is a positive 21. Okay, so recap. I moved what wasn't connected, then I moved what was connected. I had two steps, two steppers. Sometimes there's two signs in the middle. All you have to do with two signs in the middle is do the inverse of that first So you do the inverse of the first sign.
Inverse means opposite.
Inverse means opposite. You are so right. Okay, so 4 plus a negative 2 equals 22. I have two signs in the middle. The first sign is this plus. What's the inverse of plus? So I'm going to minus, but I'm not just minusing 2. I'm minusing a negative 2. What happens when you minus a negative? Add. So it actually turns into plus 2 on the other side. Okay, so I minused a negative 2, which turns it into just plus 2. This cancels out, and I get 4x is equal to 24. That's 4 times x. The inverse of times is divide. X is equal to 6. Four minus a negative 5 equals 29. I'm just going to do the inverse of that first sign. What's the inverse of minus? Plus. So I'm going to plus a negative 5 to both sides, plus a negative 5 to both sides. That got rid of this. If I was minusing that negative 5 and then I add it, that ended up canceling it out. I get 4x, 29 plus a negative 5 is going to be 24. Oh, it's the same thing. Divide by 4, divide by 4, x is 6. It's difficult when there's two signs in the middle, but it is not impossible. Algebra is never impossible. We can figure a way around it. Negative x plus a negative 32 is equal to 1. What's the inverse of plus?
Subtract.
Subtract. So I'm going to subtract a negative 32. What happens when I subtract a negative 32? It ends up adding. And I get negative x is equal to 1 minus a negative 32 is 1 plus 32, which is 33. Now let's say negative, this is like a negative 1 times x. To move that, you could divide through by negative 1, and you get x is equal to a negative 33. Dividing through by that negative 1. My trick, if I see something like this, I just say, okay, I'm going to take the opposite of both signs to get rid of that negative. That's what I would do if I were you. Okay, 5x plus a negative 22 equals negative 15. The first sign is this plus. What's the inverse of plus? Subtract a negative 22. Subtract a negative 22. And I get 5x, that cancels out, equals negative 15 plus 22. That's what that turned into. 22, take away 15, is going to be a positive 7. So 5x equals 7. Don't lose your confidence in yourself. When you see something like this, believe that you did the proper inverse operations, and just know that your next step would be to divide x is 7/5. And we call it as it is. Okay? And I can guarantee there's still times at my age, and I've been doing math for a long time, that when I get to a fraction, I'm like, I must have did something wrong. A lot of times you didn't do nothing wrong. Most answers are going to be fractions. It just happens to come out, we're trained to getting all these whole numbers, okay? Real world is all about fraction answers. Okay?